Hello, this is Jennifer Bailey. In a previous lecture, I showed you how to register a domain name with a domain name registrar. So you now have the name for your website. So what we need to do now is to find somewhere to store it. So if you can imagine, a web host is like a garage. Your website would be the car that lives in the garage, and the domain name is the address of that garage. So what we're going to learn in this lecture is how to get web hosting for your website. Now, it is possible to register a domain name with your web host. However, personally, I prefer to keep the two separate as it offers you more flexibility. It means that you can choose the web hosting package that is right for you, whilst at the same time enabling you to shop around for your domain names, as prices can vary. And another reason that I've chosen to teach you this method is that some of you may already have a domain name registered already from a different provider. Your web hosting will require more financial commitment as you are likely to pay for it up front, for example years at a time or monthly. And once your website is up and running, it is inconvenient to move it, though not impossible, so it's important to consider your web hosting provider carefully and make sure it fulfills all your requirements. So in a previous lecture, I've gone into the background of the things that you need to consider when you're choosing your web hosting package. Though I know what you need, obviously, to continue along this path, so I'm going to teach you using Hostgator, who I host all my websites with. But obviously you don't have to do that. So if you want to look at the previous lecture, you can go and have a look at the criteria that it needs to meet. When I started with web design, I chose a company who could give me a domain name and web hosting together. Though I didn't really appreciate what I needed from that company, I just went for price. I thought, oh, well, that's really quite reasonable. It only could have cost me, a few pounds a month to have that. But it wasn't until I got started and wanted to build my website, I realised it didn't offer me everything that I needed or the flexibility that I required from my website. So I made the decision to buy an alternative web hosting package, but I wanted to keep my domain name. So that's when I had to work out how to get my domain name from one company to point to the web hosting of another company. And that is called changing the name servers of your domain name. So basically to tell your domain name where to look for your website. And that's something we will cover in a later lecture. So here we are at the Hostgator homepage. And I just want to point a couple of things out to you. Hostgator offers you unlimited web hosting. So that means you can have unlimited disk space, which means you can store as many files for your website as you wish. You can have unlimited bandwidth, which is basically the transfer of information from your website to your visitor. So if you lose a lot of video, for example, that means you're not going to get charged or capped for the transfer of information. And it also offers one-click script install. So that's things like installing WordPress or Joomla or Moodles or anything like that. There's a whole variety of different scripts you can use. You also have a 45-day money-back guarantee. So if you want to dip your toe in the water and see if you like it, then you don't have to worry about losing out. It also has 24/7, 365 days of the year technical support. Now I'm based in the UK and obviously the toll numbers are from the US, so I don't actually ring Hostgator, but I know that if I want to go onto the live chat, I can always get to speak to somebody who's really helpful and who can sort any of my problems out. And believe me, having good customer support is one of the biggest criteria when picking a web hosting provider. So now what we're going to do is we're going to click on View Web Hosting Plans, and I'm going to show you which one I recommend that you go for. Now there's 3 plans: Hatchling, Baby and Business. Now I recommend you go for the Baby plan because you get unlimited domains, which means you can put a personal website on there, a business website on there. If you're into niche marketing, for example, and you like to build lots of little mini sites, you can put them all in one place and you're not paying any more money. The Hatchling plan perhaps is slightly more limiting because you only have one single domain. And then what you can do is if you go on the drop down arrow, you can have a look to see how much you save by registering for a different length of time with for your web hosting. Now, as you can see, Hostgator are offering 20% off. Well, I've got 2 coupon codes for you, which I'll also put in the notes section. One will give you 25% off, so if you're thinking about perhaps going for the year, it will give you 25% off your entire package. Or the other ones, I think it's about $9, $10 off your first order. So effectively you'd get your first month for free, and you can choose which one would suit you best. So then what we're going to do is once we've decided on the plan, we're going to go for order now. So we're not going to register a new domain because we've already done that in a previous video. We're going to go with I already own this domain, because if you remember with GoDaddy we've already registered a domain. So what you want to do is type into this box here the domain name that you've just registered. Now don't worry, Hostgator will suggest some other alternatives for you, because some companies like to buy the same name but with different extensions. For example, your local bank. Localbank.com might also have localbank.co.uk or localbank.biz, because it means that if your customer types in the wrong extension, they'll still end up at the right place. You then need to decide which package type you're going for, and we're going to go for baby, so that's correct. And also then select your billing cycle. You need to choose a username, which will be the username to log into the control panel, and also a security pin. And as you can see, it makes some suggestions on the criteria you must use. Then enter your billing information, so you can pay by credit card or by PayPal. And these other options below are similar to the ones that you were asked for on GoDaddy, like the domain privacy protection. Now, site lock, I suggest you take that off, because I had quite a few problems with my website with site lock added on it. So take it off for now, because you can add it back on at a later date. Okay, so what I would do is just leave all these other options for now. Now the coupon codes that I've got for you, I suggest you take out the Snappy and put in the 2 coupon codes that I've put in the notes section for you to get 25% off, or effectively $10 off, and then click validate. When you've done that and you have checked here to say you have read and agreed the terms and conditions of use, you need to click create account. Once your account has been created, Hostgator will send you an email with your login details. So look out for that email, because we're going to be needing those bits of information to log into the control panel and set up your website. So now, in summary, at the end of this lecture, you should now be able to know how to get web hosting for your website. I'm Jennifer Bailey. Thank you for listening.